thunder break walls and window pane. I hear thunder, but there's no rain. This kind of thunder.
Down here to sort of oppose the G20 and also highlight the fact that capitalism isn't a sustainable system. It exploits people, it exploits the environment.
A socialist society's got to be better than this. But I mean, there's going to be millions of people starving around the world and society breaking down because of all that's gone on with rich, greedy, capitalist people. Can't be allowed to continue. There has to be a change now.
All war criminals should be immediately arrested. And we will do it. Do you want to know the time? 12 noon, April Fool's Day.
I hear thunder, but there's no rain.
This episode of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine was made possible by contributions from slaves like you. Thank you very much.
We'd like to say thank you to the United Kingdom government for bailing out the bankers, for socialism for the rich, for passing on the cost of capitalism to the poor. And we'd like to say 2, 4, 6, 8. We like marching. 2, 4, 6, 8. Capital must accumulate. 2, 4, 6, 8. Capital must accumulate. 2, 4, 6, 8. Capital must accumulate.
It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine.
Good morning, slaves, and welcome to another edition of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. A light mix of soft rock, jazz, and lounge. I am your host, The Stimulator, and the Summer of Rage got an early start. The UK and France have been buzzing with exciting riotous activity. Let's begin with the French.
Europe is attractive because of its people. It's a market where we can manufacture our products, where we can initiate research, and we believe that the creativity of the European people above all, makes this market particularly attractive.
It's that European creativity that got his kidnapped. The time-honored tradition of boss snapping is back in vogue since factories are closing left and right. Sony Europe CEO Serge Fokker was just the latest victim. Yep, Mr. was held against his will overnight by pissed-off factory workers who were unsatisfied with their severance packages after it was announced that their factory was going to be closed.
The workers invaded the meeting room to show it is not only the union representatives who don't agree with the deal which has been offered to us, but the employees don't agree either.
Other recent boss snappings in France include 4 managers at Caterpillar, Luc Rousselet, director at 3M, and 2 bosses at a Michelin factory. Execs at the now closed Continental Tire factory escaped in the nick of time, probably because they knew they had been flagged for future boss snapping.
Oh, snap!
Taking over factories is fashionable again. Several Ford factories in the UK have been occupied and workers are demanding that the US car maker honor their contracts.
We want justice! We want justice!
In the heart of the British Empire, the 20 gangsters of the industrialized world convened to figure out how to spend your dollars. About 1 trillion of them. But outside the security perimeter, it was G20 meltdown. Thousands took over London's financial district in a massive display of dissent against these gangsters. People were there from all over to push a number of agendas, from ending war to climate change. But on top of the list were the banksters.
We're having the government bail out all these bankers, all these corporations all over the world with our tax-paying dollars, our hard-earned money, our tax-paying dollars, and then the bankers are lending back our own money to us at interest.
Some folks had a smashing good time expressing their angst, but numerous reports confirmed that the majority of the protesters were peaceful and that police showed little or no restraint in attacking them. The same cannot be said about the anti-NATO protests across the Channel in Strasbourg, France. Protesters threw rocks at police and set buildings on fire to show their discontent at the proposed surge in troops in Afghanistan. Once again, Mr. Obama took a and all the suckers who voted for him by solidifying the warmongering partnership between the US and Europe and by stating that yes, we can continue killing brown people.
We must renew this relationship for a new generation, in a new century.
A few of my viewers have wondered if protests are a total waste of time. After all, in February of 2003, the largest mass demonstration in the world took place in opposition to the Iraq War. And what did George W. Bush do? But to answer your question, if you have not been to a massive convergence, you're just gonna have to find out for yourself. On a personal level, these events connect me with some badass motherfuckers who are dedicating their lives to the motherfucking revolution. In this world of instant tweeting communications, many feel that posting links and information is their form of activism. Protests take you out of your Facebook group comfort and in contact with real people and, well, real pigs. Your body adds to the numbers of peeps acting in the real world to reclaim what is rightfully ours, our motherfucking public space. It's a simple act of defiance to those who'd rather see you rot in fear on your living room lazy boy while watching American Idol. Note, protests are not the be-all end-all of activism, but they act as a classroom to those getting their feet wet in the resistance, and for others it serves as fuel for inspiration. And hey, like in Seattle and in Prague, sometimes we win. Anger against British banks has been building up for some time. Back in February, angry citizens showed up at the Royal Bank of Scotland and pelted the banksters with snowballs. Later in the year, this ballsy duo from Don't Panic magazine were asking the banksters to GBF NYC.
Excuse me, sir. Do you work for RBS? Yep. Do you? Yep. We're taking money from RBS employees today. It's for GBF NYC. What's that? Right, give us back our money, you
This week, I bring you Hayden Prowse and Carmen Fishwick of Don't Panic magazine. Hey y'all, how the are you?
I'm all right. How the are you?
I'm all right too.
Why the are you asking the banksters to give us back our money, you?
I think people here and across the world are pretty pissed off that so much money's been funneled into these institutions. I think it's something like $8 trillion that's been given or promised to financial institutions worldwide as a result of this crash. And as a direct result of irresponsible behaviour by the likes of Fred Goodwin. And I think people feel that if we're going to spend that kind of money on these organisations, then we need some real hardcore, concrete promises that there's going to be some serious regulation.
Who the are the G20?
G20 are a new entity. I think people are used to hearing about G7 and G8, and this is a new thing. You have countries in there like India and Argentina and South Africa that you're not used to seeing necessarily, and I think that is reflected in people's reactions to this meeting. It's not just your traditional white guys that have been ruining the world since time immemorial, it's a new bunch of people as well.
Is this the beginning of the summer of rage?
If people keep losing their jobs at such a rate, and it is affecting people on the ground, then people will hopefully continue to protest.
I would like to think that the rage and the anger over this would continue on through the summer and spawn some interesting direct action behaviour, antics. But I'm not sure if people are going to get distracted by Big Brother.
And that about does it for this edition of It's the End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. Mad props to the following slaves for liberating some American currency for the cause: Stuart, Ted, Hans, Mike, Bart, Carl, Alyssa, Sean, Michael, Stelislav, Graymon, Linda, Micah, Peter, Eric, Bernd, Damis, Planet, Robbie, Matthew, and Flip. Arigato. If you'd like to comment on this show, or for links on the G20 riot porn, just visit my website, stimulator.tv. Now drop it like it's hot.
This car factory in Enfield, North London, has become the most recent victim of the crisis in the automobile industry and ongoing recession. 5 days ago, the Vistian management announced that it was to be one of 3 factories that would close immediately. Outraged at the way they've been treated, the workers decided to occupy the factory.
Tuesday afternoon, about 3/4 of an hour before our shift would end, they all asked us upstairs into the one of the meeting rooms, and the administrating accountant said we'd all be made redundant. We wouldn't be needed to come in the next day. I felt awful. You know, just really, really sick.
You know, I've seen grown men cry. We all have mortgages. You know, we have a young family to bring up. I don't know how we're going to cope.
The workers here feel they've done more than their fair share to make the company successful.
We've gone from 3 shifts to 2 shifts to single shifts, saved them money, and with so much as 6 minutes to 10 minutes, we was told that we haven't got a job and it's goodbye, thank you, have a nice life. Very upsetting.
They are refusing to leave, stating that the Vistian management has violated its employment contract, which was agreed upon 9 years ago when Ford sold off the factory.
Now it did belong to Ford first. Then they bring Vistian with us. But we still got a Ford contract. That's what we are fighting for. Because even our pension gone, anything. So we want to know where we stand.
But the way I see it, if I'm a Ford Mirror Terms and Conditions employee, that includes redundancy and any redundancy programs that Ford have. But for them to come and tell us you'll have to go with nothing, with like 6 minutes notice, come in, sorry you've got no job, empty your locker and go, that's what they've told us and we're not going.
To secure their occupation, the workers have blocked the entrances, but have to remain constantly vigilant for bailiffs, security and police who are trying to evict them on behalf of the management.
Have they got a bailiff over there?
No.
The reason we're here is because we've been treated disgustingly. We're now in jeopardy of losing our homes, our children, our families out on the street, when they could have quite easily have given us all just a reasonable amount of money, which we're not begging them for, money which is not owed to us. It's money we've worked for.
They've been quite happy taking the profits from the work that we've done over the past 20 years, and they have got extremely rich out of it.
The workers are sleeping on makeshift beds of cardboard. The lack of access to proper amenities and the sleepless nights are taking their toll.
It's tough. Every night's getting tougher, you know. You're away from your children and your family. But if it means we've got to squat here and stay here, we'll do it.
The other 2 shut down Vistian factories, one in Belfast and this one here in Basildon, East London, were also occupied by the workers.
We occupied the factory from 10 o'clock onwards. We were contacting the media and getting radio interviews, and it was getting widespread support. But during the course of the day, there was a big build-up of police, all putting on riot gear, Kevlar jackets, police dogs barking, and there was a lot of intimidation.
After being threatened with mass arrest, the workers agreed to leave peacefully. So they are continuing the protest with round-the-clock pickets. Concerned local residents have gathered here in support, as well as local Labour MP Angela Smith.
The thing that I really want to get to the bottom of is the relationship between Fords and Vistian. These people here were told they would be kept on. When they transferred to Vistian, they'd be on Ford's mirrored terms and conditions. They were told they would have that for life. They were told they'd have it for their entire working lives. And then that's not happened. And that's the key thing here. Legally, is that allowed? So it's what's legally right. There is also what is morally right here.
Some feel that the behaviour of the Vistian management has a broader context.
I've had several complaints now about companies using the recession not as, as an excuse to change the terms and conditions of workers.
It's the pure profit motive that's driving this forward, is to undermine workers' paying conditions, cast them aside onto the dole in order to maximise profits.
The following day, Basildon workers decide to give their former boss a visit at his country manor to hand-deliver a letter demanding their rights.
The owner of this place, Mr. Steve Gaughan, he was the managing director of Vistian, who over the last few years has asked us to remove our Ford's contracts of terms of employment. We refused. In whispers, we've heard that he was going to gradually move the work away from England into cheaper countries, Europe. He said that there would be a plan B to remove them, and we've now discovered that he has another company called Automotive Holdings that are running the Vistian production, and obviously we found where the man lives. That's where our pensions, our wages are, our life, all in this man's pocket, just profited from us. Got a letter at the moment we're going to put through Mr. Gaughan's post box. His bodyguards have given us permission to do so, and that's what we're going to do. They've given us permission to walk on his property. Okay?
We'll put that through the letterbox ourselves, please.
Yeah, you carry on what you asked, but I have to ask you to, once you've finished that, to leave the premises.
Yeah, and then we'll go and stand on the end of the road there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, no problem.
Right. This man has actively took a big slice of the cake for himself and left the rest of us on the scrapper.
But despite many tiring nights spent away from their homes, morale at the two factories has been boosted by support from the surrounding communities. Their campaign has also struck a chord with other workers and trade unionists, many of whom are also fighting job cuts. Here at Enfield, visitors are donating money and food.
We had a big collection in work today with the money we've spent on food, and we give them some pound notes. We brought down some sleeping bags yesterday, passing it up, more the merrier. With all the collapses in the bank, there's too many people just thinking, oh, there's nothing you can do about it just because it's, international collapse of the bank. There is something you can do about it. It's about time someone stood up and did something, and this is people, people like these should be an inspiration for other people to go out and actually do something.
There's going to be a lot of trade unionists, I think, who are going to be looking at this and looking at this as an example or to see how it goes. But also I think there's going to be a lot of employers going to be looking at this, and they're going to be looking at it in the opposite way to see what they can get away with. So this is why it's so important, and why we come down here, and why everyone needs to come down here.
It's fantastic, great support we've been getting. And that's what's kept us going, I think, on the roof, knowing that, we've got support out there. It's just really made the effort to carry on.
We have made an influence to the wider public as well, because I'm sure the wider public know that it could be their battle another time.
There's only one way to end profiteering, and that is through taking action, as we've seen today, occupations that have occurred, and that we run society on the basis of production for need and not for profit. In other words, we have to get rid of the capitalist system, which is rotten to the core.
You've got to stick together, and if you don't stick together, your companies, your management will just walk over you, and you will have no rights. If you stick together, you can do a lot.
A document uncovered by a local Labour MP shows that the Vistian management set up a new company called Automotive Products earlier in the year. This suggests that the Vistian bankruptcy was a manoeuvre to escape from financial obligations owed to the current workforce.
There's lots of information flying around that Steve Gaughan, who's the managing director of Vistian UK, has bought this plant and the Basildon plant.
The owners are the same, all the money's still there. It was all just a pretense by the company. We can all see through that because they may not have believed it, but the people here are quite intelligent people.
The workers are gathering together for a meeting before the 12 o'clock deadline. News has spread about a meeting held yesterday in the United States between Ford and union leaders.
It's important to remember where we was last week. We had nothing. Now, I see it as a victory with a small v at this moment in time. We've still got to keep the pressure on the company and the negotiators from the other side over the next few days. We will be leaving this building at 12 o'clock. I know not everyone agrees with that, but our hand's going to be totally clean in all this. We've got the public support, we've got the support of everyone out there, and we'll keep going.
If we're in here breaking the law, once we're down on that street and they bolt this place up, we're breaking the law down here. Because as they said, this is unofficial. Right. So there's nothing to stop the police coming and represent. It's an unofficial picket line. Move on or you're nicked.
There's nothing to stop the police coming in here, Shane.
We've got more of a chance in here than we have down there. And when all these cameras are gone,
yeah,
and it's just us left here, out on the street, do you think they're going to be bothered still?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Shane. I firmly believe that.
We need assurances that nothing leaves this plant until the deal is struck. Nothing.
I can't give you that assurance.
Well, you've got so-called union officials here, right? They should be getting onto their office and getting things sorted, right? Because these people, including myself, will barricade, right? No way does anything leave this plant. No way.
Colleagues, I think it's just important just to go through one of two things. You've been absolutely brilliant. The media coverage you've got, the support that's been coming in from all over, from union branches up and down the country, and that shows the public support that you've got here, that Belfast has got and Basildon has got, because you've won the argument with the jury of public opinion that says Vistian stink. Vistian should be paying up what they're due, and Ford should as well. Having said that, I was with our lawyers, and it became increasingly clear that the law, which we all know doesn't do working people any good, but it really stinks on this. And it became clear, one, that it was going to be very, very difficult to stop a possession order. That means using force to remove you from the premises. It also means that those of you that are aware of the possession order, beyond midday, as I understand it, are liable to contempt of court proceedings. What is my estimate of what would happen if you stayed is that they wouldn't come for you straight away. They would choke you off, they would let people out, but they won't let anybody back. And gradually, over a period of days, they would move in. And then at some point, early in the morning, with the backing of the tactical support group or whatever it is from Scotland Yard, they'd come in with maximum force and do what the police unfortunately do. And there would be, kill somebody last week, So I really do believe that the way to carry on is not to get into diversions, not to get into issues with the police or whatever, but to put the maximum pressure so that when the General Secretary and the conveners are around that table next Tuesday, we get the very maximum we possibly can. And hopefully it will be something that will be half decent in the circumstances, and something that will pay the rent for a little bit longer, so to speak.
How long was you in there for?
Obviously, in a difficult situation, because if we was to continue our occupation of the factory and the police came in, we would get sentences which would be no good if we was looking for jobs.
I still don't think we should be going anywhere today. I think we should be sitting it out for longer. We've all worked for this company a long time, and we all know the sort of strokes they pull by way of promising one thing and then doing something completely different.
Our union has instructed us to leave today, and we will be following their instructions. We are to continue the protest outside the building, at least up until or after Tuesday, until a satisfactory conclusion is reached.
It's good in one sense that we got them to get back round the table to talk about this, but it's just a shame that we had to come this far to do it.
I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. You know, the real people
are the people that pay their taxes and try their best to actually keep within the law. But the law has failed us, and this is the reason why we have to take the action that we've taken. The law doesn't recognise us. As you can see the amount of support that's going on there. This is because people are fed up of the status quo, and we need change, and we need it now. It's not acceptable what's happening, what they're doing to people. It's not acceptable. You know, it doesn't matter how many of us are sacrificed. It doesn't matter because we are only commodities that's to their disposal at any time. You know, and the thing is, what we need to do is take action that these things doesn't happen before it becomes too late. We need to make sure the government understands that we have the power, we are the power, not them. And we will exercise our rights.
We say fight back! We say not back! We say fight back! Not back! Fight back! Not back! Fight back! Not back! Fight back! Fight back! The workers united will never be defeated! The workers united will never be defeated! The workers united!
This is a testament to the resolve of the employees of this plant that we didn't sit down and the average man and woman stood up for themselves and their families and said, we're not going to take this. Got to stand up sometimes to these big companies that say enough is enough. We will not tolerate it. Yeah!